Oh, yeah, global citizens, this is Xenia, your real-life English fluency coach. Get ready to learn more than 20 everyday English expressions with Prime Video's new TV series, Young Sherlock. In this story, we meet Sherlock Holmes at the very beginning of his journey. Not as the brilliant detective you might expect, but as a curious and impulsive 19-year-old who gets himself into some serious trouble. After experimenting with pickpocketing, just to see if he could do it, Sherlock ends up in prison. His older brother, Mycroft, pulls him out and sends him to Oxford, but not as a reward. Sherlock is placed in a low-status servant role where he's expected to learn discipline and stay out of trouble. But old habits die hard. Sherlock is still stealing small things as a kind of mental exercise, and someone has noticed. Now, before we get started, to help you not only learn the expressions we'll cover in today's scenes, but also never forget them, we want to give you access to all the smart flashcards from this lesson for free. You can practice with them in our app by clicking the link below. Thousands of English learners just like you are becoming more fluent every day and having fun while doing it. If that sounds like something you'd like, be sure to try out our method. You only need a few minutes a day to see real progress. Let's get started by watching the first scene with subtitles.
For having trouble finding the solutions. Don't worry about that.
You just have to get yourself some new numbers. These solutions, they're not real. They're imaginary. That means even if you can't see the target, you can still shoot for it.
So you're a mathematician now, a porter, a waiter, a candlestick maker, and a kleptomaniac.
I was a taker, now a giver.
Does Hodge's pocket watch keep good time? They say that it's the unconscious desire of every thief to be caught, that it's the fear of incarceration that gives freedom its currency.
The fundamental fault of man is to think the enemy is external, not internal. Prison is in here, not out there.
Hark at you with your art of war. James Moriarty.
Sherlock Holmes.
In the beginning of the scene, we hear a common, advanced expression natives use in everyday situations. Listen to Moriarty here.
You just have to get yourself some new numbers. These solutions, they're not real. They're imaginary. That means even if you can't see the target, you can still shoot for it.
To shoot for something means to aim for a goal, even if it feels difficult or out of reach. It comes from aiming at a target. For example, I'm shooting for an A on this exam. She's shooting for a promotion. We're shooting for 100 customers by next month. So here Moriarty is saying, even if you can't clearly see your goal, you can still shoot for it. And by the way, listen to the way he pronounces the word imaginary.
These solutions, they're not real. They're imaginary.
This word is pronounced slightly differently in British and American English. In American English, it's usually more separated. Imaginary. Imaginary. But in British English, the second half of the word is often pronounced more quickly, almost like imaginary. Imaginary. And this happens with many words that end in "ary". For example, ordinary, ordinary, temporary, temporary, dictionary, dictionary. Anyway, so Moriarty approaches Sherlock in this friendly way, but then he shifts tone completely.
So you're a mathematician now, a porter, a waiter, a candlestick maker, and a kleptomaniac.
A porter is someone who carries luggage or does manual labor, like in hotels or train stations. In this context, he's referring to Sherlock's low-status role at Oxford. Then we have candlestick maker. This is a candlestick. Now, just a fun fact, Moriarty is actually referencing an Old English nursery rhyme called Rub-a-dub-dub, which lists different everyday professions.
The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and all of them gone to sea.
A nursery rhyme is a short traditional children's song, something kids grow up hearing and memorizing. So anyway, let's listen again to what Moriarty calls Sherlock.
And a kleptomaniac.
A kleptomaniac is someone who feels a strong need to steal things, even when they don't need them. Kleptomania is the name of an actual mental health disorder, but here, Moriarty is just using it as an insult, or maybe as an accusation that he knows what Sherlock has been doing.
Was a taker, now a giver.
A taker refers to someone who takes or steals things, and giver sounds positive. In this brief memory from Moriarty we're watching, Sherlock is suggesting he's now in a position where he has to serve and give to others, as a servant, rather than taking what he wants. So Moriarty keeps pushing.
Does Hodge's pocket watch keep good time?
A pocket watch is a watch you carry in your pocket, often attached to a chain. They were common before wristwatches became popular. So Moriarty knows Sherlock stole this person's watch, Hodge's watch. At this point, it's clear. Moriarty has been watching Sherlock closely. Hey, now, I know this might sound like an overreaction, but if you don't study the expressions we're learning today, you're sure to forget them in hours or even minutes. And I know this because I've been there myself as an English learner. And we've also taught millions of English learners just like you. So we created the perfect solution for you, a set of flashcards for this lesson with Young Sherlock that is available for free on our app. This will help you remember the new words from this lesson forever. The reason this works is that we put the science and right technology behind it. Basically, the app knows the exact expressions you've learned from all lessons, and just when you're about to forget one, we bring it back to you to practice. You only need 10-15 minutes daily for more natural English speaking. Super easy. Click the link in the description below to try the Real Life app right now for free and start getting a bit more fluent every day. Okay, now back to the scene. Listen to how the conversation becomes more philosophical.
They say that it's the unconscious desire of every thief to be caught, that it's the fear of incarceration that gives freedom its currency.
An unconscious desire is something you want, but you don't fully recognize it. Moriarty is suggesting that deep down, thieves secretly want to get caught. That's what he means by incarceration, that is, being put in prison. You may also hear it as a verb or adjective, to get or be incarcerated. Check out this other example.
If you destroy evidence and obstruct justice on top of the charges already brought against you, in this case, you will be, I promise, incarcerated.
You don't understand what's in those text messages.
They say that it's the unconscious desire of every thief to be caught, that it's the fear of incarceration that gives freedom its currency.
What does currency mean in this context? Try to think of a single word to replace it. It means value. Moriarty means that for thieves, freedom only feels valuable when they sense they could lose it. Now, the word currency usually means money, more specifically a type of money like the dollar or euro. They are currencies. In Moriarty's sentence, though, the word just means value. Only now does Sherlock respond.
The fundamental fault of man is to think the enemy is external, not internal. Prison is in here, not out there.
Fundamental means basic or most important. So a fundamental fault is a deep core problem. Sherlock is saying the main mistake people make is thinking their problems come from outside, when really the problems are inside themselves, in their own minds. And this is interesting because we actually say something very similar here at Real Life English. The problem isn't the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. Or another way to think about it, we think we see the world as it is, but truly, we see the world as we are. Pretty deep, right? Anyway, Moriarty immediately recognizes the kind of mind he's dealing with.
Hark at you with your art of war.
The Art of War is a famous book about strategy, originally about war, but people also apply its ideas to life, business, and competition. Now, this line is actually doing a couple of things at once. Earlier, Sherlock and Moriarty had seen these rare Art of War scrolls at Oxford, so Moriarty is referencing something real they both know. But at the same time, he's being a bit sarcastic. Sherlock just said something very deep and philosophical, and Moriarty is basically like, wow, listen to you, quoting strategy books now. So after this first meeting, Moriarty clearly takes an interest in Sherlock. Later that evening, he invites him to a party. Now, Sherlock is hesitant. He's not dressed for it, he doesn't have an invitation, and he definitely doesn't belong in that kind of high society environment. But Moriarty just tells him to follow his lead. And sure enough, when they arrive, Moriarty manages to get them inside anyway, using confidence, charm, and a bit of improvisation. Inside, the contrast is clear. The party is full of wealthy elite students, and Sherlock stands out immediately. So people start questioning why he's even there. But instead of backing down, Moriarty leans into the situation and turns it into a kind of game. He proposes a challenge, a battle of intelligence. Each person will observe the other and make deductions. And whoever does it better wins. Let's watch.
I have an idea. You outsmart the scout, and he'll leave without further protest.
You take a good long look at him, and you tell us what you can glean, and then he'll do the same to you.
And then I'll be the judge of who wins.
Very well. Show me your hand.
Interesting signet ring.
I notice an absence of any type of ring, and no calluses. He's clearly not intimately acquainted with anything approaching hard labor. So not just a servant, but a lazy one too.
Had you not considered that he wears gloves? So what else? Oh, that's it. Well, you had a promising start, but you'd no follow-through. What you made was an observation, not a deduction.
My turn. Your signet ring. The crest? Your ancestor was the Count of Boulogne.
Fought at the Battle of Hastings.
He was 5'2" and he had a face like a cow's udder, but he fought like a titan. So, ugly, yes, but magnificent nonetheless. Now, as is consistent with custom, a man knows he must wear his signet ring facing inward to represent content, not outward to represent form. Inward for noble lion, outward for tabby cat. Tell me, which direction does your ring point?
Oof, peregrine. That must hurt.
Not as much as this is going to hurt.
In the beginning of this battle of intelligence, we hear Peregrine's friend use a few interesting words.
I have an idea. You outsmart the scout, and he'll leave without further protest.
To outsmart someone means to defeat them by being more clever or more intelligent. So instead of using strength, you use your brain. See this other example.
You really think that you're gonna just stroll in there like Robin Hood and his band of merry doormen and outsmart the guys with earpieces and guns?
Why is that so hard for you to believe, huh?
And notice she calls Sherlock a scout. In general, a scout is someone whose job is to go ahead to look for information. For example, in the army, a scout goes ahead to explore an area. In sports, a scout looks for talented players. But in this context, at Oxford, a scout is a servant, someone who does cleaning, serving, and other manual work for students. And then she adds,
You outsmart the scout, and he'll leave without further protest.
Further here means additional. So without further protest means without complaining anymore. She's basically saying, if you beat him, he'll leave quietly. Now Moriarty steps in and sets up the rules of the game.
You take a good long look at him, and you tell us what you can glean.
To glean means to gather information slowly by observing small details. So instead of getting all the information at once, you pick up little clues and build a bigger picture. For example, what can you glean from this data? So Moriarty is telling Peregrine, observe carefully and tell us what you can figure out. And now the battle begins.
Interesting signet ring.
A signet ring is a ring with a special design or family symbol called a crest engraved on it. Traditionally, wealthy families had unique symbols, and signet rings were used to stamp that symbol into wax to seal letters.
I notice an absence of any type of ring, and no calluses. He's clearly not intimately acquainted with anything approaching hard labor.
To be intimately acquainted with something means to know it very well, through personal experience. For example, people who do physical work with their hands, like in construction, develop calluses. That's what hard labor means, difficult physical work. Moriarty, however, sees an issue in his observation.
Had you not considered that he wears gloves? So what else? Oh, that's it. Well, you had a promising start, but you'd no follow-through.
Follow through means to continue something until the end, to fully complete it. You can also use it as a phrasal verb, which means to actually do what you said you would do. Check out these other examples.
Her mother's made a lot of promises over the years and never seems to follow through with them.
You probably won't be hearing from me because even if you wanted to, and you clearly don't, I have the classic male problem of no follow-through.
Moriarty is saying Peregrine started okay, but didn't continue deep enough. He made simple observations, but didn't develop them into real conclusions. And then he makes a very important distinction.
What you made was an observation, not a deduction.
An observation is simply noticing something. A deduction is going further. You take what you notice and use logic to reach a conclusion. This is key to Sherlock Holmes as a character. He doesn't just see things, he figures out what they mean. And now, it's Sherlock's turn.
Your signet ring. The crest? Your ancestor was the Count of Boulogne.
Fought at the Battle of Hastings.
He was 5'2" and he had a face like a cow's udder, but he fought like a titan.
5'2" means 5 feet 2 inches tall. That's about 157 centimeters, referring to Peregrine's ancestor. So imagine someone noticeably shorter than average, especially in a time when warriors were expected to be big and physically imposing. By the way, you should know that in the US and UK, people normally use the imperial system, feet and inches, for measuring height. Sherlock continues describing Peregrine's ancestor by saying he had a face like a cow's udder. This is the part of a cow that produces milk. It hangs down and looks soft and uneven. So he's describing the ancestor as not very attractive. But then he contrasts it.
So ugly, yes, but magnificent nonetheless.
Magnificent means extremely impressive or powerful, and nonetheless means despite that. It's like he's saying, yes, he was ugly, but still impressive. Now Sherlock takes it one step further into social rules and tradition.
Now, as is consistent with custom, a man knows he must wear his signet ring facing inward to represent content, not outward to represent form.
The phrase, as is consistent with custom, means following tradition, doing something the way it's usually done. A custom is a traditional way of behaving. And here's the key detail Sherlock explains. If the ring is facing inward or inside, it points toward you. If it's facing outward, outside, it points toward others. According to this tradition, wearing it inward shows content, meaning substance, character. Wearing it outward shows form, meaning appearance, showing off. This is why he makes the comparison between a tabby cat, common house cat, and a noble lion. That if you wear the ring the wrong way, you're not impressive. You just look like you are.
Inward for noble lion, outward for tabby cat. Tell me, which direction does your ring point?
Now let's take a look at one more pronunciation detail from this scene. Listen to this line.
That must hurt.
Not as much as this is going to hurt.
Now, if you try to say every word clearly, it would sound like, not as much as this is going to hurt. But that's not how natives actually speak. Instead, everything gets linked together. Not as much as this is going to hurt. Let's break that down. Not as becomes not as. The T connects to the next word and sounds like a soft D. That's what we call an American T, like the sound we hear in the word water. Much as becomes much as. The ch links smoothly into as. And this is becomes this is, with the as sound from this flowing directly into the word is. So instead of separate words, it becomes one smooth phrase. Not as much as this is going to hurt. Not as much as this is going to hurt. Now it's your turn. Repeat after Peregrine.
That must hurt.
Not as much as this is going to hurt. Not as much as this is going to hurt.
Now, are you ready for the final and most important step of the lesson? We're gonna take everything you've just learned, the new expressions and pronunciation, and put it into practice. You'll watch the scene again, this time without subtitles, and answer some quiz questions. So are you ready? Let's do it.
For having trouble finding the solutions. Don't worry about that.
You just have to get yourself some new numbers. These solutions, they're not real. They're imaginary. That means even if you can't see the target.
What expression did Moriarty use here? These solutions, they're not real, they're imaginary. That means even if you can't see the target, you can still shoot for it.
That means even if you can't see the target, you can still shoot for it. So you're a mathematician now, a porter, a waiter, a candlestick maker, and a kleptomaniac.
Was a taker, now a giver.
Does Hodge's pocket watch keep good time? They say that it's the unconscious desire of every thief to be caught, that it's the fear of incarceration that gives freedom its currency.
In this context, what does incarceration imply? Being under suspicion, going to jail, getting watched by authorities.
The fundamental fault of man is to think the enemy is external, not internal. Prison is in here, not out there.
Hark at you with your art of war. James Moriarty.
Sherlock Holmes.
I have an idea. You outsmart the scout, and he'll leave without further protest.
You take a good long look at him, and you tell us what you can glean.
If you glean something from a situation, what are you doing? Getting it from small details you notice, asking someone to explain it, guessing without enough information.
And then he'll do the same to you.
And then I'll be the judge of who wins.
Very well. Show me your hand.
Interesting signet ring.
I notice an absence of any type of ring, and no calluses. He's clearly not intimately acquainted with anything approaching hard labor. So not just a servant, but a lazy one too.
Had you not considered that he wears gloves? So what else? Oh, that's it. Well, you had a promising start, but you'd no follow-through.
If someone doesn't follow through, what's the problem? They didn't understand what to do. They didn't finish what they started. They started too late.
What you made was an observation, not a deduction.
My turn. Your signet ring. The crest? Your ancestor was the Count of Boulogne.
Fought at the Battle of Hastings.
He was 5'2" and he had a face like a cow's udder, but he fought like a titan. So ugly, yes, but magnificent nonetheless. Now, as is consistent with custom, a man knows he must wear his signet ring facing inward. to represent content, not outward to represent form. Inward for noble lion, outward for tabby cat. Tell me, which direction does your ring point?
Oof, peregrine. That must hurt.
Not as much as this is going to hurt.
Oh, yeah, amazing job, guys. Now, if you're new to this YouTube channel, you should know that every single week we make new lessons just like this one with celebrities, movies, and TV series to help you understand fast-speaking natives without getting lost, without missing their jokes, and without subtitles. So if that sounds like something you want to be able to do, hit the subscribe button and the bell down below so you never miss any of our new lessons. Remember to go and practice what you learned today on the Real Life English app. You'll find a special link right in the description below that'll take you straight to this lesson over there.
Anyone thinking of pulling a weapon, do not pull a weapon. Because this man, ladies and gentlemen, is Tommy Shelby.
Who the fuck is Tommy Shelby?
Perhaps someone should explain to him who I am.
I don't give a fuck who you are.
Hey.